Hi everyone, I wanted to show you me finishing off Danny, my little devil baby boy, and I waited for the epoxy sculpt to dry, and once it's dry it's nice and securely stuck to the plastic. I pulled really hard and the bits stayed on, so I was quite happy I didn't have to glue them back on. And what I did was I took some red paint, well it's like a sort of magenta-y type red, and mixed that and put that all over as like a base coat for him. And at this stage I'm only working on the head, and then I'll work on the body to match it later on. I'm just using a small brush to get in any little nooks and crannies that I miss with the big brush. So that's like his base coat, and then painted the inside of his mouth black, going around his tongue, and obviously I wanted his tongue to stand out a bit more and his little tooth, so that's why I went over those as well. Then what I did was I used an antiquing technique, which is where you do a wash of black over the top of what you've just created, what you've just painted, and then you rub it off, and it gives an old aged effect to the surface that you do it on. It's used quite a lot when people make props and stuff for Halloween, which is basically what Danny is. So I used that and wanted it to give it a more sort of darker, more aged kind of red colour, and then use the black around his eyes to darken around his eyes as well. I just like it because it makes all the little nooks and crannies stand out more, which would be really hard to paint individually with a small brush. Then I added a little pink to his tongue. I wanted him to have a nice pink tongue because he is a baby after all. And then just touched up his tooth. Then for his eyes I decided to go for an orange colour. Later on I left the base colour as orange and then went around the pupil with yellow to make it stand out more. So he's got sort of a bit more of a gradient now, but you'll see that later on. So that was the main painting on his face. For his eyes, when I've got some more resin, I'm going to fill the gaps up with a little bit of resin so they look a bit more shiny and look a bit more like eyeballs in there, but I haven't got any resin at the moment, so at the moment he's going to live without that. Then I've got this base from a glass dome that I broke, and I thought I would use it for his base, so he's like a little ornament for Halloween this year. Obviously I know Halloween is months away, but I love Halloween, so I make Halloween stuff anytime I feel like it. So then what I did was paint the base black, which, yes, granted I could have done before sticking him on, but when you put the hot glue on, it'll just lift off that surface layer of paint anyway. So it's actually easier to glue him down first, otherwise I just had to repaint it anyway. So I went round, made sure his base was all black, and obviously there's like a groove where the glass used to be, so I had to go around filling all that in as well. And then by the time I'd done most of the base, the hot glue was dry, so I was able to paint the hot glue as well. And then here I'm just using the hot glue to hold his arms in a certain position. I decided I was going to get his arm slightly raised and keep it in that position, and then I wrapped some felty material around him and obviously made sure his body matched. Then I've got this gilding wax, and what I decided to do was use the gold of it, and I've used that around all the little points on his ears and his horns and everything, and then a little bit on his body and on any highlight bits that I want to highlight, like his eyelids and his nose. I just thought it added a nice effect to him. I also made him a little hat. I just cut the edge of the sleeve off from the fleece that I used for the blanket and sewed it at the top to make a little hat, and that's Danny finished. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you